Hi there. Um, I'm Sonia Haria, Beauty Director at the Telegraph, and we are waiting for going to be joined by the amazing Millie Kendall from the British Beauty Council. So she's coming on very shortly. I hope I'm on the right account today. So if anyone tuned in yesterday, I was on the wrong account. But anyway, here we are, and I'm very excited to be joined by Millie Kendall from the British Beauty Council. We're going to have a really good. Here we go. Let's hope that works okay. Um, Millie,
We
hello.
did it. Here we are.
We did it. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm all right. Exhausted.
Another busy day.
Another busy day, and I think I've got a 5 a.m. filming with the BBC tomorrow. Well, I don't
Wow.
think I know, but the thought of having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning is difficult. But
I
yeah,
mean, have you had a day off this whole time?
no,
No.
no. And I
Uh,
did ask Diana for a week off next week, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get that either. So
no.
no, it's fine. It's where am I going to go?
Yeah, it's true. I know. I know. Well, so just to explain the format to everyone, what we'll do is me and Millie will have a little chat for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll turn comments back on for any questions for the last sort of 10 minutes or so. So let me do that now. So Millie, where are we at the moment? Obviously, the
We're
last
not
week's been
we're not where
hectic.
we thought we'd be, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so I was saying this earlier, just to sort of add some historical context to this. I think that um, there's always been a slight sort of challenge with government in terms of how they refer to our industry. So massage parlors, hair and beauty salons, no reference to mobiles. It's been an ongoing challenge since the start of this. Um, I mean, in essence, that's why we set up the British Beauty Council in the first place, was to sort of relate to government, have conversations with them, so they understood more about. Oh,
I'm
you fell
back.
off the mirror. So they, it's just so they can understand more about our industry, because I just don't think they understand it at all. So where we're at is we assumed that hair and beauty would open at the same time. It didn't. Hair opened, beauty was left behind, which has been very distressing and quite confusing, because the guidelines that we worked on with Bays were to cover both hair and beauty. So still not quite sure why we worked on combined guidelines and then they only open half the sector. So
Yeah, because that's funny. Obviously, if you've got the guidelines in place and they were kept talking about everyone having risk assessments and doing all of that, and then suddenly, I feel like obviously many beauty salons were all gearing up for that 4th of July
yeah,
date.
yeah, yeah.
And almost now it's like, when's it being discussed? When are they going to reveal the day? I mean, hopefully by the end of the week, do you feel
I
we're going to
think
hear
I think
something?
we'll have something by the end of the week. I think we'll have an announcement soon. And I think what happened is that when they started to look at the depth and breadth of the beauty industry, they panicked and they thought, well, hold on, we don't know enough about this. We can't actually open it. And also keeping in mind that they do talk to industry, but they're being guided by Public Health England, health safety executives. So if what I say adds very little in terms of what Public Health England say, I can say, hey, look, we're all completely safe and hygienic. But if the scientists say, or Public Health England say, keep them shut,
Yeah.
that's the advice they're going to take. And, that's just the unfortunate fact that we've never had a strong lobby or a voice in government until now, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Do you feel like things are shifting in terms of the reputation of the British and like the beauty industry now?
Yeah, I mean, last night we had sort of 5 parliamentarians, speaking up on our behalf, which is
Yeah.
great. I think that the lobbying works. It does work. We've just never had an organized lobby. So it works. Look at, the pubs, look at the beer industry, look at
Yeah.
the tobacco industry. I mean, lobby groups do work. It's just we've never had one before. So when we set ourselves up, we knew that there was a lot of work to do. Obviously, we didn't know we were going to head straight into this terrible situation. But
Yes.
I do think so. I had a meeting today about free trade agreements with the US, with Department for International Trade. I had meetings with them last week about Brexit, immigration. There's a lot going on about, EU nationals coming into the UK in our sector, and how
Yeah.
challenging that's going to be. So yeah, I think things are starting to happen. But keeping in mind, it is not just about COVID as well. There are a lot of other issues challenges that we face that we need to talk to government about.
Because I mean, I guess part of that is the whole potential regulation of the industry. Like, is that something you feel we really need?
There are some people that really want it, and then there's some people that are not. I'm really on the fence. I don't really. I sort of have taken. How can I say it? I'm hearing what everyone's saying. I think that in some sectors, yes, it's important, for sure. I think
Yeah.
that we've been underregulated for a long time. The problem is that anytime anyone's ever tried to regulate, government have kicked back and said, go and regulate yourself. Well, somebody has to do that. It's a full-time job, and
Yeah.
it costs money.
Yeah.
So you really have to figure out a full package in terms of regulation, so that you can fund it, so that you can police it. Because no point saying, hey, here are all the rules, and there's nobody enforcing them. That costs
And
quite a
that,
bit of money.
yeah, and I suppose the whole thing with the beauty industry is that it's not one size fits all, which is so
No.
evident now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sort of holistic services, and then you've got the sort of the nail bars and the nail salons, and there are now techs that work on music videos or on shoots, or it's so multifaceted, our sector, that it is actually enormous. It's enormous. I mean, we've been talking about sort of these beauty services, but a lot of this happens in retail. You've got large companies that are trying to figure out how to sell their cosmetics without,
Yeah,
beauty advisors putting makeup on people in the stores. This is across our entire sector.
totally. We had great support today actually from Superdrug, who are really sort of keen to support our Telegraph's Why Can't
Yes.
I Work hashtag. So it's great that they,
Yeah.
because obviously, I don't know how many stores they have up and down the UK, but it really shows you just how many touch points of beauty there are in the
Yeah.
UK, aren't there?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that is something that I keep bringing up to them, that it's not just about um, a beauty therapist. There are people that work on shoots. There are people that work in retail. You keep having to drum it in. I mean, I've also been banging on about waste, because I still think the sustainability issue is a problem. I mean, we're about to generate enormous amounts of
yeah,
plastic waste. It's absolutely crucial we have some plan for that. I'm quite astonished that
yeah,
they can talk about green business, but yet nobody refers to the fact that everyone's wearing plastic visors. It's
yeah.
just
That's so true. I mean, I feel like the tide was almost, changing in the last 6 months in terms of things moving slowly
yeah.
into a more sustainable space. But yeah, COVID's completely killed that, hasn't it?
Well, it has and it hasn't. We actually 2 weeks ago just started a sustainability report. So we're doing some research into the beauty industry and climate change, because I'm not going to let that go. That's something that was on our roadmap. It was on our roadmap from when we formed in 2018. So we need to continue that. We need to step that up. I think that we need to continually think about it. It shouldn't be something that we set aside. I
Yeah.
know that there is pressing priorities at the moment, and I fully appreciate that. But my bandwidth is fairly wide, so I'm still pushing on the sustainability piece.
And I'm
It's
sure in the coming months
well,
that will become more of a focus, hopefully, once
yeah. I
everything's
mean, we'll
opened
know.
and
We'll know in a couple of months when we're generating loads of waste and we don't know where to put it. So I mean, I think that we have to also think ahead. We have to think about
yeah,
what things are going to be like, because I was talking to somebody today about we don't know whether this social distancing system in salons is going to work. We don't really know yet what the financial impact will be,
yeah,
because it's still very early days. We're celebrating the fact that hairdressers have gone back to work, and God, we should.
Yeah.
I can't even get an appointment, but
Looks like you've had your hair cut though. Have you had it
oh,
cut?
my neighbour cut it in the
Oh,
garden. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, my neighbour cut it. And
That's a good sign.
one of my Tai Chi friends in the garden. Um, yeah,
Amazing.
with craft scissors, no less, not even proper hairdressing scissors. Um,
Oh no.
yeah, full PPE and the sort of plastic kid scissors. Um, yeah, so I mean, I guess there's a lot to learn from this. There is a lot to learn. We've just completed a survey on lessons from COVID, and it's probably the first phase. So it's sort of where it's sort of, I think we closed it on last Friday, and we're about to present that to our advisory board. So there's some really interesting takeouts of that. So, but we need to look forward.
Yeah. And so you've briefly mentioned this potential staggered approach to reopening. So potential businesses being high risk, medium risk, low risk. Is that something that you feel Bays and also the government would want to sort of implement when it comes to reopening beauty sector?
It came up last week on a call, and there are a lot of organisations involved on these calls. So it did come up last week in a call. I think it's probably quite viable. I
Yeah.
think that it will get some of our industry open, and God, it's not ideal at all. And I'm not an expert beauty therapist, so just got to say that, did a bit of makeup, did a bit of hair, and love a bit of PR, but I'm not an expert in the actual treatments. So I wouldn't be the one to sort of select what's high, medium, or low. But
Mm.
to me, a pedicure is safe. I don't see that as being in the breathing zone. So it's an option. It's definitely an option.
I mean, just from you bringing up a pedicure, the whole kind of the fact that you can see a chiropodist now, you can't have see a nail technician to have your toes done. It's definitely this whole situation, I think, has really highlighted some issues about how
Yes.
people see the beauty
Yeah,
industry. You
completely.
know, just I don't want to come out with the kind of anger that I have underneath, but it's I think it's hopefully something's changing and they can kind of readdress this. But what were your initial thoughts after that sort of mockery at PMQs last week?
Well, I mean, I think obviously that's embarrassing. I feel now it's more embarrassing for them than anything. I mean, this
Yeah,
is a viable industry worth almost £30 billion a year to Britain's GDP. It's big business. It's not cottage industry. It's not a hobby. It's a business. Yeah, I was pretty attacked for referring to podiatry in line with pedicures, but actually I was actually referring to the vicinity, the
yeah, yeah,
proximity to the face. Um, but it does appear that there is a real distinction between uh, what people perceive beauty to be, particularly people in the medical sector, because it would be the same with chiropractic, sports massage, or
yeah,
obviously some medical practitioners are doing Botox, and obviously estheticians aren't allowed to. So there is a real distinction between that, and maybe that's something the regulation will help with, because a lot of the beauty services, and just the more I understand about the training behind the beauty services, they're very skilled workers. We are very skilled workers. I mean, that's in hairdressing, all of the technical sort of practices in beauty. I mean, you speak to people all the time that I'm sure that have,
yeah,
undergone years and years of very, very intense training. So, maybe regulation is the answer.
yeah, yeah.
It's
But
difficult. It's upsetting,
mm,
to hear people call. I mean, I was called uneducated, a beauty person. It's ridiculous, really. It's
yeah, yeah,
attacking people is ridiculous in the first place, but referring to us as uneducated is just appalling, quite frankly. But
totally.
and when you think about well-being and the amount of impact we have on people, I know beauty therapists that have spotted signs of domestic violence and abuse before anybody else. I know
Yeah,
beauty therapists that spot the signs of skin cancer and save people's lives. You know, that just the fact that somebody puts their hand on your shoulder when you're having a haircut, you know, all of that adds up to a lot. That's, you know, and I feel like well-being gets sort of left behind quite a lot. There's
Yeah,
not really a lot of understanding about, you know, when we look good, we feel good, or, you know, sometimes I just want a
totally.
massage. It's not about how I look, you know.
It's just having that nurturing care, really, isn't
Yeah,
it? And I think that's what, obviously we can, bang on about the financial aspect, and that is such a
yeah,
huge, I think that's how probably, money talks, doesn't it? But there is a massive hidden underlying value to beauty in that
yeah.
it does just give you that real feel good factor.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
think, you know, we add to the cultural and creative makeup of this country, I think. I think if you look at, when I was talking to Department for International Trade today, and I was saying that, you know, they need to, as Great Britain, the brand Great Britain, need to do a bit of a PR job on our beauty
yeah,
industry. Because if you look at brands like Charlotte Tilbury and Pat McGrath that are worth 1 billion each, if,
yeah,
you know, if not more, that's huge. That's enormous. And, you know, those are two of our, those are two exports
yeah,
from this country that I don't think that the government are using as a sort of a beacon of, you know, what life is going to be like after Brexit. You know, what have we got
yeah,
for sale? You know, our beauty
that's so
industry
true.
is world renowned. John Frieda, Vidal Sassoon, Anita Roddick. You know, the legacy is endless. I think we've been hugely successful in this sector.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it's definitely time to um, start shouting out more about it. I mean, hopefully it feels like, after watching it widely discussed in Parliament
Yeah.
yesterday, um, it was quite heartwarming to see actually, some of the male politicians probably had the tail between their legs a little bit in the fact that, actually we can't be categorized as high risk as a sort of as a strip club.
No,
And there's
that was
certain
great. Well done. Good team. Yeah.
but there's like certain it's just all comes down to respect, doesn't it? Respect, and also just understanding the fact that it's not a frivolous industry.
Yeah.
um so I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I'm going to turn the comments back on, so if anyone's got any questions, please
Make them
start
easy. I'm
firing
very
them.
tired.
Yeah. um so yeah, any questions, start popping through. Let's see if we've got any so far. So what's the plan for the rest of the week? Is it just all eyes on what's happening? Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So
it.
with yeah, yeah. I mean, every morning it must be like, right, what's in store for today?
Yeah. I mean, I try not to watch the news. So what I tend to do is I get the emails and I wait for the announcements and then I read the transcript.
Yeah,
I just
right.
find it's
Yeah.
better for my mental health. You know, can't have that news on all day long. So
Yes, that's so
I read the
true.
transcript because I find that it's the details better for me and I can absorb it better. I find sometimes I miss something and have to keep rewinding it, and so and they do put those transcripts up really quickly after the announcements.
Yeah. So we're getting lots of questions about, do you think will be open by the end of the week? Sorry, we'll get a date by the end of the week.
I think we'll get some announcement by the end of the week.
Right. And in terms of how soon you think things might start opening up, I mean, obviously,
That's really difficult to say.
tricky one.
I mean, I mean, I know. Okay, so here's the process. So I know that Bayes put together an economic evidence paper that went into Parliament on Sunday. Obviously, the trick is to get it in front of Boris. Last night really helped because it was the talk of Parliament.
Yeah,
So I think there is obviously a lot of consideration now being given to the beauty industry. It will then be for him to take it to Public Health England and the scientific people to say, okay, yes, we think this can open. Yes, we think we can do this. No, we can't. So,
right.
so I know we're at that point right now where the scientists are looking at the scientific evidence and the economic evidence has created a sort of a sort of push for urgency.
Right. Okay. Because obviously this point in the year is a very crucial time for so many of these beauty
Yeah.
businesses, isn't it?
Yeah, so I sort of did a bit of a call out for people to sort of tell me what their losses were, because in part of the economic evidence paper was to provide proof to BEIS of the job losses and income losses, and June, July, and August could be 50% of your yearly
Yeah.
turnover. So it's quite critical. And then, talking to UK Spa Association, I mean, you could be looking at anywhere between 11 to 30% redundancies if we don't get moving quickly. So I think the things that we pushed for were, look, these are the job losses that could occur. This is the loss of revenue. This is the problem with seasonality, that you're hitting us really hard in our peak season. And those were the things we hit back with. And I think that did resonate with BEIS. They really understood that.
That's good. So they've sort of presented their case, and then now it's down to the scientists, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And someone's asking, do you think we'll have to wear gloves long term for treatments? I mean, I suppose that's all down to.
I think it's down to risk assessment, isn't it? It's down to
Yeah.
risk assessment, and it's down to, I mean, I think they're quite 42 pages of government guidelines,
Yeah.
go figure, I'd asked for a video. I said to them,
That's
I said to
good.
them the other day, can I just have a diagram of like what high risk means? It's quite difficult. I think you have to do your risk assessment. That's really critical, and it really depends on what treatments you're giving. And also, I believe that local authorities will go into your businesses as they open and help you with the risk assessment. It's not like they're going to come in and fine you if you get it wrong. They will be there to help.
Right.
So, but it's critical that you start that process.
Totally. So we're getting lots of chat about the scientific evidence. Obviously, Matt Hancock on Monday, was it Monday? God, I'm losing track of all my days. I think it was on Monday. He said that we're following scientific evidence about reopening, or sorry, clinical evidence.
Yeah.
What's that based on? Is that
That's $1 million question, isn't it? So I guess what they're, I mean, who knows? Because we were on a meeting, and I did have a bit of a confrontation, not a confrontation, but a sort of discussion with Public Health England about this proximity issue. Or maybe it was a confrontation. I mean, you know what I'm like. So wait, hold on, explain it to me.
You're the woman
and we have asked for scientific evidence, but it is pretty much down to face-to-face for prolonged periods of time. That's what they're talking about. So that's what they're basing every decision on. Whether that is, I mean, I don't know the science, and I don't, I'm not a virologist. Is that the right term? I don't know if any of us know enough about it. So I think it's a little bit trial and error in a way. I mean, what we don't want, obviously, is a massive, spike. We're on a good run right now. We've had protests, we've had people going out and getting drunk. What we don't want is a spike in this, and then everyone has to close everything down again. Well, in fairness, what they're trying to do is make sure that when we do open, we stay open. So I would say that's pretty a reasonable approach, but I don't know about the scientific evidence. It's honestly, I'm not getting that clear response to be.
Right. I mean, I think that's quite concerning for many people. The fact that beauty might then be the movable piece in the puzzle if things do spike, and potentially if there's another wave, then, is it down to beauty to potentially be delayed in terms of reopening? Lots of people asking about dates, but do you feel like it's a matter of weeks potentially, or potentially longer?
Okay, so I said, and I don't know if I said this when I was on when we did that the webinar before.
Yeah.
But I think there's a sort of the guidelines were released June 23rd, and then salons opened the 4th. So very often there's about a week between certain sort of release of evidence or the release of guidelines. So I think there is, and I did say that when the salons reopened, that I didn't think it would be that long for the next step. So each step seems to be taking, somewhere between a week to 10 days. And that's not just in beauty, that's across obviously all the industries. That seems to be the sort of
Yeah.
how they're, opening the economy.
Because retail opened in two phases, didn't it? Retail opened, I think,
Yeah,
partly on June 1st and then the rest on June 15th.
yeah.
I mean, read into that what you will, but I
Yeah, I
suppose,
feel like I feel like if you just map out all those dates and you put them on a
yeah,
bar chart, you are looking somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks in between each of
yeah,
those gaps. So, yeah, I mean, I think, look, in fairness, nobody wants us to stay closed. It's not
yeah,
that they don't want the economy back on track. I just think this is something that nobody has ever experienced, before. And I think that, like I said, I don't think our industry is known well enough to them. I don't think they understand all the different nuances. And I think
yeah,
that this has come as a bit of a shock because they just didn't realize how broad it was.
yeah. Oh yeah, totally. So, a couple of people are asking about opinions on people opening against government advice.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, the thing is that do we know the weather was safe? Look, the fact is PPE is personal protection, isn't it? So
Yeah,
whatever you're told to wear and how you're being asked to operate is to protect yourself.
yeah,
When the client comes in, there's no mandate for them to wear any mask or face covering. Well, that means that everybody has to take personal responsibility. And I think that, I would want to be acting in the safest possible way at this time. I don't leave my house without a mask. I have a child who was vulnerable. There are, we all have sort of things that we need to take into consideration. But I do think that you should act within the guidelines. I think it's
hmm
it also brings our industry into disrepute, and that's not helpful.
mm.
We want the utmost of consumer confidence. We want people to come back to our businesses thinking that this is a safe place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so hopefully by Friday or on Friday we get some clarity on a date.
Hmm.
And I mean, best case scenario, I guess 10 days to 2 weeks after that, potentially. But
Yeah. uh, I
I
don't know.
suppose,
It's so
yeah,
difficult, isn't it?
yeah.
um,
I suppose it completely depends on what the
you
scientists
know
come back and say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is that the frustrating thing is our entire livelihoods are in the hands of scientists.
Yeah,
We don't know them, we can't see them. They're sort of faceless, nameless people, and it's very frustrating. And I completely appreciate that it is that frustrating. But we all are spending a lot of time, pushing for more information, and uh, it's quite cloak and dagger. It's really
yeah,
kind of like, they keep their cards quite close to their chest, possibly because they might at the last minute have to change their minds. So that's
yeah,
that's a that's something
right.
to consider as well. We just don't know.
Yeah,
But we
totally.
got salons open, so there's we've got something to hopefully.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
mean, fingers crossed. I feel like, I feel like it feels like the message is getting through, and
Yeah, I
you
do think
know,
that. I do
yeah,
think that
so
because every meeting that we've had, there are sort of more senior people on, and
that's
you can
good.
see there are people that actually don't make themselves visible, but they're listening. It's
Yeah.
quite
Oh, I
quite
love that.
interesting. It's quite weird.
Oh,
Yeah, I always have to when I come off those meetings with government. I have to make sure I close every window because I think, oh God, they might be listening to me afterwards. I get really paranoid. But yeah, I mean, I think I think we'll have an announcement. So
yeah.
I don't know exactly when, and I don't know what's going to be said, but I know that there will be something coming soon. There has to be. We've worked very hard, so
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
at least people won't be kind of again hanging in the balance and not knowing what's going on. So I think
yeah,
either way, it's just good to get some clarity, isn't it?
yeah. And
Um,
sleep. I'd really
and
like to get some sleep. Yeah,
yeah, because things kind of calmed down once the hairdressers were announced. In terms of the hair salons, it was just like, right, everyone go back and like get yourselves prepared. So
yeah,
I suppose if there is a date that's announced, then everyone can kind of just. I mean, I feel like everyone's been getting ready for the last 3 months anyway, but I
yeah.
suppose
I know.
everyone can get their ducks in a row and get
Yeah.
ready to open.
Yeah. They will
Amazing.
be
Well,
busy. They will be busy because everyone seems to want to go on holiday now, don't they? So, um, you
they
know,
need their pedicures, they need their waxes, their facials. I mean,
totally.
everything. I'm literally going to book in for like a head to toe everything when
I'll
they
be the
open.
last one at the party probably because that seems to be what's happening at the moment. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Millie, thank you so much for having this chat with
Thank
me. It's
you.
been
Thank you.
brilliant speaking to you, and thank you to everyone who's joined in and like commented. We've had so many comments. We've had almost a sort of steady 200 people watching throughout the whole call, which is
Honestly,
great.
we just want to get you back to work. That's all we want to do,
Yeah,
safely. So, let's hope
and let's hope this has
soon.
a really great, lasting, impact on the reputation of the beauty industry.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think that there's been a lot of empathy, there's been a lot of understanding of the industry. I think that, like I said, my job is to continually champion the reputation of the industry and kind of elevate it at government level. So, we really need to keep pushing. And when you guys open, we need to keep talking about the value of beauty because
yeah,
it's very important that we keep up
yeah. And
the
and
energy.
just a quick one on there's been a couple of questions just on mobile beauty therapists would I assume follow the same
Mobiles will always follow the same. It's just
yeah,
that government are really old fashioned and they talk about massage parlors and salons, and that's all they understand. It's not, no one's being left out in that regard. They just don't
yeah,
have the right terminology. I mean, I
yeah.
haven't seen a massage parlor since, I don't know, the 70s.
1975.
So, there is one in Kentish Town actually that still exists, but I'm not sure that anyone ever goes in there. But yeah, it's just terminology. That's it. They just don't know. They'll learn. We're going to make
Yeah,
sure they do.
amazing. Well, thank you so much, Millie. I won't take up any more of your time, and thanks everyone for joining in. This will be saved onto our grid so you can watch it back if anyone missed it. But yeah, stay
Thanks,
posted.
Sonia. Thank you so much
No
for all your
problem.
support and all the amazing features in the Telegraph. They're brilliant.
Oh no, it's good. Well, we love the beauty industry, so there's lots more to come.
Good.
Thanks
Okay. Thanks so
all.
much. Okay.
Thanks
Night,
everyone for
guys.
tuning
Have a good
in.
evening.
Bye.
Bye.